Welcome to our latest homestead update. You know, for the first few years here on this property, we've been cleaning up junk, we've been taking down old fences that just were beyond repair. And while we did that, we saved as many of the old T-posts as we could. So any T-post that we pulled out that wasn't completely mangled, I just threw it in a pile and I kept it. And now that we've sort of finished the cleanup phase and we're ready to start rebuilding, we've dug out the old T-post and we've done some research and settled in on the kind of fence we wanted to build. Now we want to run two different types of livestock in our front pasture, which is going to be about 10 acres in size. And we're wanting to expand our poultry operation and have more free-range chickens and produce both eggs and fresh meat. And we're also wanting to add to that mixture some pastured pork and have some free-range pigs. So I have 4 pigs that I've ordered. They'll be here in about 10 days. And because of that, we had to hurry up and get the front pasture fenced. And I looked at my options for fencing and they were all expensive. And they were all less than ideal for what I wanted to do. One of the issues that you have when you're trying to free range is you have predator problems with coyotes and bobcats, particularly with the chickens. And so I needed something that was a really good defense against those predators, as well as being a good way to keep the livestock in. And after looking at everything, what I decided to do is go with high-tensile electric wire. And this is 12.5 gauge high-tensile class 3 galvanized wire, and I got it at Tractor Supply, 4,000 foot roll, and it's about 2 cents a foot. And that's as cheap as you can get wire anywhere. And at this point we've already got 3 runs up. And one of the things that I did is I put a strand of barbed wire at the bottom just to be a physical barrier for anything that's trying to root under. The next wire up will be electrified, the next wire above that will be grounded, the next wire above that will be electrified, and then the top 3 will all be grounded. So anything that's trying to nose through at the lower part of the fence is either going to get poked or shocked. One of the other reasons that I chose this type of fence, in addition to being inexpensive, was how easy it was for me as one person, one individual, to put it up by myself. Basically all I had to do was put in good corners with good corner bracing, and then at that point it's a simple process of pulling straight lines, putting your T-post in a straight line, and then you just run your wire and attach it to the T-post with some really inexpensive, easy to use insulators. So I've left 2 T-posts out to do a little quick demonstration on that. So I'm going to stick those in and show you how the insulators work. Before I do that, one last note: when you're doing a high tensile fence, because of the strength of the wire and how much tighter that you can stretch it, you don't have to have nearly as many T-posts in your line post set up. So instead of having a post every 8 to 10 feet, I've got them every 25 feet. So that saved me a ton of money on posts as well. So what I'm going to go do is pace off 8 paces, which with my steps is 25 feet, drive in a T-post, and then we'll put some insulators on real quick, and hopefully you'll see how easy that was. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I like to put, since I have to tie on the bottom one, I try to sort of split the difference between 2 barbs. So you just want to get it as straight up and down as you can. And it's, most of the time you can do it pretty good just by looking. And then once you've got it sort of where you want it, then just hit it like you mean it. And for whatever reason, these almost always twist on the first hit. So I stop. So I'm driving mine about chest deep. So middle of the chest there. Once I get to that, then I'm done. I stop, and then I attach the wires to the fence post. So the first one I'll do is the barbed wire. And these are some pretty easy little clips. These are just standard little wire clips that come with your T-posts when you buy them. And there's a short hook and a long hook. You always hook your short one first, and then you can just come around like that, and then your long hook sticks up on that side. Just grab it with your fence pliers, and then just roll that over like so. And then you can, depending on how extravagant you want to get in finishing that off, I just normally try to get it under like that. And it's good. And then I crimp this one down like so, and that's hooked. So next, we're going to put on the little plastic insulators, and these are relatively easy as well. So on this fence post, the way I've got it measured out, I go 1, 2, and then the third one is where I want to be. So basically, so 1, 2, then the third slot, just rotate that around, and it's on. And then on the back side here, there's a little clip, and I just use a big long screwdriver. Makes it real easy just to pull that right around. It pops right on. And then after that, you just stick the wire in, insert the pin, and then you're done. And you just continue doing this about 10,000 more times until you've got them all in, and you're good to go. So this next one, we're going from a 6-inch spacing at the bottom. I wanted it a little tighter, closer to the ground, because I'm gonna have pigs and I want to keep coyotes and bobcats out. But as I go up, I can get a little bit wider on my gaps. So on this, instead of going 3, I'm gonna go 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And so then I just finish off with my 4th wire. So I've got barbed wire, then I've got 2 high tensile wires at 6-inch, and then I got my 3rd one at 8. And then I'm gonna add 3 more above that. Now, I'm not gonna be raising jumping pigs or anything like that, but I might wanna put a cow in here someday. And if I do wanna do that, I don't wanna have to first fix the fence. So I just wanna go ahead and do it now. And the beauty of this kind of system is by using insulators on all the wires, I can electrify all the wires, I can electrify none of the wires, I can electrify some of the wires. So by going ahead and doing this, putting the 6 strands in, I can do whatever I want with the pasture by simply just, changing which one I want to energize. So again, we're going 4 more. Pop that on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pop that on. 1, 2, 4. And then I just take my screwdriver and pop the backs on. So now when I come through and I run my last 3 strands, pop those in and the fence will be finished. Now, fun little fact. Hear that? Heard that sound before? Star Wars. And that's where they got that sound effect from. It's from high tension wires. Things you never knew. May the force be with you. I'm sure there's a tool for it. That basically has a tensioner on the spool that keeps it from unraveling too quickly and backlashing. And what I'm doing, I've got an old axle. And I don't know why I have an old axle or where it came from, but I have it. And it just so happens to fit perfectly in the hole on the bed of this Polaris. And it has this neat little slot that also happens to fit perfectly for this wire. So all I'm doing is just crimping it good and then making a few twists. I'm not tying it real securely because if that gets in a bind, I want this to pop off. I don't want to drag this thing all the way around the pasture before I know it. So this is tied enough that it will pull if that's working correctly. If it's not, I'll know it because it'll come unhooked. So off I go. I'm gonna make the entire round, and I'm gonna wind up right there, a few feet away. One entire round, one wire, no splices. Be right back. Push it right over my corners, drop it down to about where it goes, and I'm ready to go again. So we just keep going this way. So the great thing about having this little quick detach system is I can just pull this out now. I've got to go around that corner in that tree. So I can just pull this out, walk around those, and come right back here and stick it back in without having to untie anything. So we've pulled the wire all the way around, and now that we've done that, we've got to secure it to our corner post. And on the T-post, we had the little white connectors, or the little white insulators that just snap on the post. Do you mind? Anyway, so when you get to the wood post, you use these little rubber tubes like this. So they're not actually rubber, they're plastic. But anyway, they got a hole in the middle. You cut them to length. So the ones that go around the end post, have to be long enough to go all the way around like that. The ones where you're just making a 90, they're more like just that much. So instead of going all the way, they're just like a 90. And then the ones where it's just a straight, you just need a little short section. I'm gonna kill that rooster. You just need a little short section to keep it off the wood. So I'll cut those right now. Then we will turn loose of this. We'll put our gripple on. We'll walk all the way back around, attaching the wire. And then when we get back to here, we'll put the other end on, and then we'll go stretch the line, and that will be a strand complete. So here we go. So now we have to do a little thinking, and that's when it always gets dangerous around here. We've got to think, and we've got to think in reverse, because as I run this piece of wire, I've got to run all of these on the wire for each of the posts. So I've got to thread all those onto this wire like a necklace in the right order, so that when I go down through there, they appear when I need them to. So we're going to cut this off pretty long, just in case I need more for whatever reason. The last wood post at that corner that I'm going to pass with the wire needs a short one. The post before that is a corner post or a turn post, so it needs a longer one. The one before that is another just brace post, so that's a short one. The post before that is another brace post, followed by a corner post, followed by a brace post, and the next corner's brace post, then the corner post, then the brace, and 2 lines. So that's all of the ones that we'll need as we walk around, I hope, because if they're not on there, they're not going to get on there. We just have to figure that out. So this is a gripple. This is a handy dandy, easy little thing. It's like a Chinese finger trap. It's got a little dog in there that once you stick the wire in, it catches it. So what we're going to do is we're going to run that, and we're going to run our end post insulator through like so. We want it to be 8 inches higher than the one before. Like that. Now, believe it or not, when we pull on that, it'll tighten up and look just like the rest of them. So, this goes over there. Ha! Ha! Did you see that? They stuck straight up. That's cool. That's pure talent. And we're just gonna escort this dude right around through here. This 8 inches, that's just my best guess at what's going to be a good gap. You can measure that with anything. I'm using a tape measure just because I'm modest. All right, so last staple for this strand, and we will go put the stretcher on and tighten this dude up, and we'll be finished. Okay, so now it's time for the finishing touch, and that's to stretch the wire. And I pulled it kind of sort of tight by hand when I secured it off, but this thing's like almost like a fishing reel. The line lays in this groove, and when I twist it, basically it fills up the spool, and then you lock it off with this little pin and it stays. So here goes. Now the main thing you got to do is hang on to this thing and not turn loose of it and get yourself smacked in the face. So I'm not going to talk for a second here while I do this. There it is. There you go. Put tension back on it. Nice and tight. Done. Woohoo! So that's it. That's all you gotta do. Set your corner post, set your line post, put your insulators on your line post, pull your wire, make sure that you put your insulators for your wood post on the wire correctly, then walk it back around, just putting the wire in the plastic insulators and nailing it to the post. When you're finished, just simply tighten it up and you're done. And the good thing is if over time you get a little slack, you can always just come back and hook into this again and tighten it another quarter round and make it tight again. And that's it. Once you're finished, at that point you can choose to either electrify or not electrify the fence, and you can choose if you want to do all or part of the wires. And at that point it's just a a matter of maintaining your fence. If you're going to have electric, you need to keep grass and limbs and stuff like that off of it so it doesn't ground out and it actually works properly. And otherwise, it looks like it's a fairly low maintenance, easy little fence. 2 more strands and I'm done, and it'll be time for pigs. So I better get back to work. See you next time on the next episode of the Land Doctors.